Welcome to Janry Pet Resort, where pet luxury has never been more affordable. Welcome back to the Janry Pet Resort podcast. Dave, how are you doing this week?
I'm great. It's been really nice weather for the last couple days, and for some reason, with the warmer weather, my spirit becomes just brighter.
Yes, I can say that is one thing about winter that is difficult, is that everything is the same color, that brown. Even when we get snow, it turns brown so fast, and it can really pull you into a funk.
It does. It really does. And daylight savings time is coming up in the next few weeks.
No more darkness at 7 p.m.
That's what I'm talking about.
It makes it difficult. Here, I feel for the staff that close. They're here until 7 p.m. In the summer, they go home and it's still light out. They still can do stuff. In the winter, they're leaving and it's dark and it's like, oh my goodness.
It does. It feels like it's like the middle of the night. So spring is coming. I don't care what the groundhog said.
Well, we have a few more storms here to get through. From when we're recording this, there's 3 on the horizon, 1 tomorrow, 1 Saturday, and 1 next week sometime. So Puxatawny Phil is saying 6 weeks more of winter, which we've gotten through it this far. There's a light at the end of the tunnel and the sun will be shining, the flowers will be blooming, and we'll be able to actually be outside comfortable.
It's not just Puxatawny Phil.
No, I feel like there must be one for every state.
Well, according to the lore, there is only one Phil, and all other groundhogs are imposters.
Oh, geez.
But there are different groundhogs.
There are, yeah.
And they're competing.
Well, you have to remember, too, there has to be different groundhogs because I'm pretty sure we're going to have a shorter winter than, say, Maine, and we're going to have a longer winter than the Carolinas. So you kind of have to have your regional groundhog, which I think our regional groundhog is Puxatawny Phil. The one thing I want to talk about today is group play and having your dog in group play, and what we do here at Janry Pet Resort to keep dogs safe and happy while they're out playing in group play. And there's a lot of things that go into it. When people come in, we're always going to ask them, has your dog been anywhere? Have they been to dog parks? Have they been to other facilities? Has your dog interacted with other dogs besides dogs in the home? We want to know, has your dog interacted with dogs outside of the home? And that's going to give us a few clues, but it's not going to say, okay, your dog's going to be good in group. That's why we go through an evaluation. Now, if you have a nervous dog and you bring your dog in for that complimentary day and you're like, oh, they're going to be evaluated today, they might not be. What we do here is what is best for the dog. If your dog is too nervous that first day, we're not going to put it out and try and evaluate it with the other dogs because that's not fair to your dog. Your dog's nervous. It's not going to show us its true colors. We're going to get your dog comfortable with the staff. One of the things we always want is the dogs to know if they feel uncomfortable in group, they come to the staff member. The dogs who have problems with people and are great with other dogs, because if your dog has a problem with people and is great with other dogs, we still need to handle your dog. We need to make sure that your dog can be handled by the staff that are here without your dog being put into a situation that it has to react in a negative way that then would be a blame on your dog.
I think it's important that people that are listening to this podcast understand when they bring their dog to Janry Pet Resort that it is a process.
On that evaluation day, we want to make sure your dog is as comfortable as possible. We want to make sure they're comfortable when they come through the door. We want to make sure they're comfortable when they're hanging out inside before their playtime starts. We want to make sure they're comfortable with the staff and figure out what staff would be good with your dog. We have a mixture of men and women here. There's some dogs that like men more than women and vice versa. As soon as we see you walk down the sidewalk, walk in the front door, the evaluation of your dog is starting. So when we go to do the actual evaluation with your dog, depending on the dog, there's 2 ways we do it. We do it through a fence off leash, or we can do it on leash with an extremely unreactive dog. And we're just going to watch body language, ears, eyes, tail, hair. Those are the things we're watching. So the eyes are going to tell us things. The ears are going to tell us things. The way they hold their tail is going to tell us things. And the way their hair is laying. And that is all before we even look at their mouth. Because once the mouth reacts, they've already told us with their eyes, they've already told us with their ears, they've already told us with their tail, and they've already told us with how their hair is laying as to how comfortable they are and what their reaction is going to be. So once we are out there and we let them go ahead and sniff, remember, one of the ways dogs say hello to each other is they sniff butts. So when we take and introduce 2 dogs together, truthfully, the last thing we want to do is introduce them face to face. You want to let the new dog sniff the established dogs behind first, and then you want to switch them. That's going to tell you as well, is that new dog going to allow the established dog to sniff it? Because if it's not, then it's not going to let anybody else sniff it. that means it doesn't want to say hello. Now, in that matter, you also have to remember, we don't want them to say hello for too long. We don't walk up to someone and start shaking their hand and keep shaking because that it gets really awkward really fast.
Right. So too long of a butt sniff is off limits.
It's off limits. It's off limits. Their olfactory senses that they can smell and say, okay, this is this dog, can happen in a split second.
Right. So the eyes, the ears, the tail, the mouth, it's like you're looking at all this. This happens very quickly.
Very quickly.
Right.
Very quickly. And so, once we realize what is happening and everything looks good, then we say, okay, let's open the gate. Let them go in together. Let's take them off leash. Let's let them interact for a few minutes, just the two of them, just to see, who does this dog want to interact with this person? I mean, obviously he's going to go around and sniff the area first, and then is it going to come back? Is it going to come to the staff? That way, then we can slowly start to introduce another non-reactive dog. Obviously, all of our dogs are non-reactive that go into group, but when I say non-reactive, I mean energy level. We want to match the energy level. So if I have a puppy come in and it's got energy, I'm not going to bring out an older dog with low energy. I'm going to bring out another puppy because this puppy is got higher energy and it's just going to annoy an older dog that doesn't want to play with it. It's kind of like one of these things where one thing I've always found fascinating about group is that when you have a bunch of dogs out in group and they're all playing, you have friend groups. So if you're sitting in a school and the kids come in for lunch, you're going to see these kids all sit together at this table, these kids all sit together at this table, and every once in a while you're going to see that kid that bounces from table to table to table. They're kind of like the school kid that is friends with everyone. It's the exact same thing in group play. You're going to have groups of dogs, and then every once in a while you're going to have a dog that just goes from group to group to group to group to group. But most of the dogs find their friend, and a lot of times what we see too is people will bring their dogs on the same days: Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, just Wednesday, just Friday. So the owners do that because that's their schedule. But what it gives the dogs is that they see the same friends. We have one dog that comes every Friday. We have other dogs that only come on Fridays, or they come Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So that dog that comes on Fridays, probably 75% of the dogs that he sees have been there every Friday he's come. And then new friends are brought in. And then when we introduce a new dog, that dog in the first few visits is going to be trying to find their friend group, and then after a few visits of them seeing the same friend group, especially if they're coming on the same set of days. And the great thing is we do have our monthly members, and our monthly members are Monday through Friday. So there's always somebody there that dog has met before. That dog then will end up finding its friend group. And when you watch them in the field, you'll be like, those dogs are all over there. That's their friend group. Those dogs are there. That's their. It's the neatest thing to see.
You know what I just discovered, Eileen?
What's that?
If I was a dog, I would be bouncing from group to group to group to group.
You would be bouncing 100%, Dave.
Yeah.
You would definitely be bouncing from group to group.
I could tell exactly how I'd be evaluated.
I won't go there.
Okay, good.
There's a few behaviors that we monitor in group that we don't allow. And these are behaviors that are going to be detrimental to the flow and the health of the group. We talked about the excessive butt sniffing. The same thing goes into dogs that are constantly in other dogs' faces. A dog doesn't always want another dog to be in its face. You see a lot of those videos on social media of the little puppy and it's all over the face of another dog. And you can just, if you look at the dog and you look at their eyes and you look at their ears, and if you even look at their mouth, they'll start to get a little tightness in the mouth. They're getting annoyed. And those are micro signs that not everybody sees. I watch videos and I'm just like, that is a dog fight waiting to happen. And it just, by the grace of whatever, it doesn't happen. So excessive butt sniffing, being in a dog's face, vocalization. Vocalization can set dogs off. If the dog comes out and all they want to do is bark and bark and bark, that can set a dog off. We will go ahead and get that dog's attention to get them to stop barking. We're constantly trying to get dogs' attention to switch their brain to keep it always on the little bit of a less excited level, because once they hit a certain point, the excitement can turn into something it shouldn't turn into.
And this is why it's so important to keep your eyes on your dog
Yes.
at a dog park, like
Yes.
you were talking about. So when your dog is at Janry Pet Resort, if you didn't know this, your dog is constantly being observed by the counselors out in group.
Constantly. And there's a lot of times where dogs will be playing and we'll just call them to us. to take a break in that play to reset their brains, and then they can go. It's one of those things where it's just when dogs play excessively too long with each other, it starts to get where someone starts to feel overwhelmed. So if they're playing, whistle for them, snap for them, call for them, they run back to you, okay, go ahead. You're good.
And that can also set off an entire group of dogs.
100%. One of the things that's very difficult is when we have to tell a customer that their dog displayed a behavior that we were not going to allow in group. We want to be transparent with all of our customers. We will ask people, have you had a kid go back to school? Did school started back up? Do you have school-age children that have now gone back to school that aren't home with the dog? Did you go from work from home to have to go into the office certain days of the week? Has something changed at home? Are you remodeling the house? Did a new neighbor move in and they have a dog that barks 24/7? Because all of that can affect your dog with us.
Right. So environmental changes can change the way that they react when they come here.
100%. If I start seeing a behavior change in a dog, one of the things I've asked customers is, has anything changed at home? Most of the time, there might be a divorce or a separation. College students going back in the fall. They've been home all summer. The dog's happy. The kids are home. Everything's great. The kids go back to college. The dog comes to daycare. We see a difference in the dog. Home remodeling, huge, will throw a dog off. Dogs do not appreciate new people's smells in the house, in their territory, the noises that will throw the dog off here, where we're now saying, we've never seen this behavior before. Why are we seeing this behavior? We have this transparency that we want to have with our customers to tell them every little thing that's going on. What I would rather have is transparency and a working dialogue with the owner to overcome the issues that we might be having in group play, because I don't want to have the conversation of your dog just attacked another dog. Your dog's at the vet hospital and so is the other dog. It can happen in a split second. I don't want to have that conversation. It is the responsibility of Janry Pet Resort for every dog that walks into this facility to protect that dog while allowing that dog to have fun. We have the experience and the knowledge to have dogs in group and to keep everyone as safe as possible in group, and to make the call when a dog needs training, when the dog needs maybe just to not be in group.
Yeah, it needs a break.
It needs a break.
Overstimulated.
Exactly. Because a lot of dogs get to the point where they say, yo, I need a break. Listen, what do? We go on vacation. What is that for a human? That's a break. You know what it is? It's a break from the people you're around 24/7.
Absolutely.
At work.
Or, I don't feel like going out tonight. I just want to be by myself.
Exactly.
I don't want to be with people.
So we have to give that grace to our pets. And that's one of the reasons, too, why there's a lot of facilities that do all-day play. So you bring your dog to the facility, your dog goes in group. It goes right from the lobby right into a group of dogs. Your dog is in that group for the entire day. You pick your dog up, it leaves that group, it goes out. Can you imagine being a teacher at school and for 8 hours of the day, you're doing recess with the same kids? Now think if you're a child, and remember, let's say, dogs are kind of like, let's say 5-year-olds. If you're a 5-year-old and you're out and you're playing with friends for 8 hours, are you going to be happy 5 days a week, 3 days a week? We do broken up play times so that they can come in and they can be not bothered.
Right. They need time to decompress themselves.
Exactly. Decompress, grab a quick nap before they go back out, and not be bothered the entire time.
Right. So it's not about group play all the time here.
No.
It's the Janry Pet Resort experience.
And sometimes you get dogs that are just amped up all the time, but they still need a break, because we also have to make sure they don't hurt themselves. What you're going to get in group play, you're getting dogs that are running around playing. They're running around our big grassy field playing. They can hit one of the pieces of playground equipment because they're playing with somebody and not watching where they're going. They can slip the wrong way. They can hurt themselves. They can hit something. They can break a nail. Broken nails happen. It's like having your kids go to school and not expecting them to possibly hurt themselves on the playground. Get a cut, get a scratch.
If they were on the playground for 8 hours, then the chances are much greater.
They're much greater. But even when they're on their playground for just their 30-minute playtime, something can happen and they can hurt themselves. It's the same thing thing here. We have to be extraordinarily picky about who is in group and who is not in group. We need to be very transparent with parents that their dog is showing a behavior that we haven't seen before. What's going on? You know what? Your dog is just not cut out for group at this time. These are the things we think needs to happen. We think you need to get a little bit of training going on. We keep in mind it is our responsibility to every dog that walks through that door that they are having fun and staying safe. We have so many dogs that come here that cannot go in group play. And you know what? It's fine. Those dogs love being with the counselors. Those dogs love going for nature walks. We tend to put a lot of human feelings on our dogs.
Yeah, we humanize them.
100%.
Oh, like my dog's sad.
My dog's sad.
No, you're sad.
My dog's happy. Whatever it may be.
Right.
Your dog needs to do whatever your dog wants to do. If your dog wants to be in group play with the other pups, great. That's great. If your dog is showing us signs that it is uncomfortable, why would we choose to continue putting your dog in group so that when you pull in the driveway and come to walk down the sidewalk, your dog goes, oh, this is the place that makes me uncomfortable? Would you rather have your dog with a staff member and your dog comes in like, yeah, I get one-on-one time. I get a person all to myself today. We want the dog to be happy. It's a conversation I've had with many people. Because of the fact that we humanize our dogs, we feel like our dogs have to have friends. I would rather have the conversation with a customer that your dog isn't great in group rather than call up the customer and say your dog just attacked another dog. I don't want to have that conversation. We have standards here that need to be met in order to make sure that your dog is the right fit. There are a lot of places that just put all dogs in group no matter what. We here don't have that same philosophy. We here are here for the dog to make sure the dog is comfortable. An uncomfortable dog is a dog that's going to react to another dog. That means that dog probably shouldn't have been in group. Our bottom line here is the happiness of the dogs and the safety of the staff is huge. I don't want my staff to get bit. I don't want my staff to have to break up a dog fight. And so unfortunately, that means that there's going to be people who are unhappy. But you know what the most important thing is?
The safety and well-being of the other dogs here at Janry Pet Resort and the staff.
Exactly. Those unhappy people are going to have happy pets because their pet hasn't been made uncomfortable by staying in group when it doesn't want to be in group.
Just remember that when you're listening to this, it is your job to protect your dog. And if you're entrusting us with your dog, then you have to trust us that we know what's best for your dog when you're not around.
We're going to protect your dog.
We're going to protect your dog.
We're going to protect your dog just as if your dog was ours.
And that's what people want. That's why Janry Pet Resort has been an established business since 1982.
So, and that does lead me into something we are going to be talking about before too long, is we are going to be introducing a new program here at Janry Pet Resort. It is going to be enrichment daycare. We're going to have both enrichment daycare and enrichment lodging packages available starting in March. I think that everyone is going to really enjoy. It is to not only physically work your dog while they're here at Janry, but is also to mentally work your dog. Everyone has heard about enrichment programs with animals at zoos. We are bringing that into the doggy daycare world and the dog boarding world, where that your dog is not only being physically stimulated, but they are also being mentally stimulated and having a task to do while doing that. It's going to be very exciting. We are really excited for the future here, but I do want to say thank you, Dave, and thank you to all of our listeners for joining us this week and talking about how important your dog's happiness is to us. Have a great one, and we will see you next time.